thank you for joining. We will just wait a few seconds to let everyone be able to connect, and then we will be able to start. Okay, so I think that we are okay to start. So Marco, over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar, My Tableau, a trusted analytics platform. I am Marco from Wizon, and we have been working with Tableau for several years already, and we see that once the analytics is seeded in the organization, then it starts growing by users and by content, and by time it gets always more critical and critical. So with some time we can do this manually and refresh and check every dashboard after data refresh or version upgrade. But once we at one point we want actually to automate it and make sure that we can trust it, the environment and the content at each moment. So therefore we have this webinar today where we want to introduce to our top customers Wiiisdom Ops, and together at this webinar are Mufid and Loik, who will do the most of the talking at the webinar. And they will introduce their solution, how we can automate all the testing stuff and actually go even beyond that with their solution. So yeah, let's go on with this presentation. Yeah, as I said, I am Marco from Wizon, and here with me are also Mufid and Loik. Over to you. Would you like to say a few introductory words?
Yeah. Hi everyone. Thank you, Marco, for the introduction. So I'm Mufid. I'm the one in the middle here. I think you recognized me. I'm working as a partner manager in the EMEA area on the side of Wiiisdom, and I have with me for Wiiisdom Loik, which I will let introduce himself.
Hello everybody. My name is Loik, and I'm a pre-sales engineer. So I'm let's say the technical guy here for this presentation and for this demonstration. I'm very pleased to be with you today. So we are going to show you something quite interesting and fun, I think, something called Wiiisdom Ops. The idea is to give you some tools and some solutions for helping you testing your Tableau dashboard in an automated way to help you save time, but also to help you to trust your data at the end.
Thank you, Loik. So before we begin, feel free to submit your question. You will see that on the GoToWebinar panel, you will have a chat box. So feel free to ask your question whenever you have one. We will try to either answer it on the fly, or we will keep it at the end of the session to try to answer all your questions. So that's the first thing. The second one is that we will send you the recording. So this session is recorded. We will send you all attendees and non-attendees the recording, of course, whenever it will be available. I think it will be like tomorrow or on Thursday. Let's see. And last thing, please feel free also to complete the exit survey. When you will exit the session, you will have a survey displayed. It will take less than 1 minute. And if you can take some time to answer the question, it will help us a lot to improve for the next time. So Marco, maybe you want to say some words about Wizon.
Yes, thank you, Mufid. Yes, I was here at this webinar are most of our top customers. Then we worked together for several years, but just a few words about Wizon still. So yeah, Wizon is an Estonian service and solutions provider, and we are fully focused on building data analytics solutions and helping our customers to use their data and act upon that. We are a team of 15 consultants, and we mostly do data warehousing and data visualization on top of that. As was said in the beginning already, we are also a long-time Tableau partner and have several Tableau customers and seen also and implemented several Tableau projects as well. So therefore, we always feel and see the need for such an add-on product that we would like to introduce our customers today at this webinar by Wiiisdom. Okay, thank you. I think it's enough about Wizon. Let's now see and talk more about Wiiisdom.
Thank you. So Wiiisdom, just a few words about the company. So we are a French company. We are based in Lille, a city close to Paris in France. We are, as I said, a French software editor, and the aim of Wiiisdom is to make data more reliable. You know that in today's world, all the organizations all around the world, worldwide, make decisions based on data. And our mission is to release the potential of data analytics by ensuring that people can make trusted decisions. So Wiiisdom Ops will empower the data-driven organization to make the data analytics trustable, to make sure that you can trust your data. And that's really the main point here, is that you can make sure that you can trust your data. So talking about trust, we will have some polls, 3 polls today. And the first one, we have the question we want to know more about you is, how much do you trust the data in your dashboards? So we will now display a poll. I will let you some time to answer. So on a scale on 1 to 5, how much do you trust your data? 5 is the highest level of trust. So if you trust your data, you click 5. If you don't trust your data, you click 1. As I said, I will let you some time to answer. Thank you for those who are answering. Just a few seconds more, and the results are here. Wow, quite impressive, because you are 80% of you who do not trust the data in the dashboard. So that's good news for us, because that's the idea here, is to present you something to be able to trust your data. So Wiiisdom Ops. Wiiisdom Ops, really quickly, is a tool which will allows you to run 3 types of tests. So the first one is the regression testing. Regression testing, so with this type of test, you will be able to ensure that your reports are the same. Either over time or between servers, you will be able to make sure that your reports didn't move. The second one is the functional testing. So here you will be able to simulate user journeys and clicks, and this way you can ensure that reports behave as expected. Both the navigation in the report and the use of the filters and parameters. So that's really important. And you can also, with this one, ensure that the data displayed is correct. And the last one is the performance testing. So here you will be able to make sure that the user experience remains good, compared, of course, to the internal requirements. So maybe you have SLA, for example, you will be able to make sure that it fits your SLA. And you can also, with this performance testing, ensure that the servers are holding up well. And so there is a lot of use cases for Wiiisdom Ops. We listed some of them here, but the most common ones, let's say, of course, if you change your data source, you want to make sure that everything is okay with your report. So that's a common use case we face. Of course, if you do also an upgrade of your Tableau server, for example, you might want to test your dashboards to make sure that everything is okay again. Maybe you will want to run some performance tests to make sure that as I said, the user experience is acceptable, and even anticipate performances issue even before the user's complaints. Or maybe you just want to integrate Wiiisdom Ops within your CI/CD strategy. And the benefits of Wiiisdom Ops, by implementing Wiiisdom Ops, you will improve the analytics quality and performance. Of course, you will increase the user satisfaction. You will increase also the adoption of your users because they will have less issues by using their tool, their Tableau. You will maximize the value of your data, and you will, at the end, scale your BI environments. So the second poll, before we go straight into the live demonstration, is how do you test your Tableau dashboards today? So again, we will let you 1 minute to answer. Just click on the right answer for you. So maybe you don't need to test. You don't test because you don't need to do it. You don't do it because you can do it. You have not any efficient way to do it. Maybe you do it, but manually, which I think takes a lot of time. Or maybe you found a way to automate the testing, and I would be more than happy to see how you make it. I will let you again some seconds. Maybe we will. I didn't share the first one, but I forgot. But maybe we'll share the results of this one. Just to comment, all is anonymous. We will just display the percentages. Sorry, so to have a better idea of the audience. So maybe thank you again for those who answered. Maybe Loic, you can display the results.
Yes, I'm still waiting a few seconds because there's still
people are still
yeah.
And the result is quite clear again. You can see that 100% of the audience don't have any solution to automate the testing. 75% of you do it manually. As I said, it might be time consuming, and 25% of you don't do any test because you don't have any efficient way to do it. So that's quite interesting because, as I said, we will show you now a way to automate it and to do it in an efficient way. So previously I talked about 3 types of tests. The first one is the regression testing, and I will let Loic take the lead on this one to demonstrate and to live demonstrate the tool directly.
Yes, thank you, Mufid, for the introduction. So what you can see right now is Wiiisdom Ops Designer, which is so the client for designing your test and also executing your test. And as you can see, when you land on the home page, you can select what kind of test you want to perform, so functional, regression, or performance. So like Mufid just said, we are going to start with a regression test. So I'm going to open a project where I have already executed some regression testing, and I'm going to share with you the results. So start with this one. So this is my cross-environment test, and I'm going to show you straight the result, and then we are going to see how this test has been built. So this is how you can help your daily work or your regression testing with that solution. So you will end up at the end with some reports or results that can also be shared because those are HTML. So you can see I'm opening the results in my browser right now. And I have my production against my UAT. It was a dashboard I wanted to test. And the status is a red cross, so it means it failed. And then I have here all the reason why it failed. So I executed my test. It was 11 tests available, and 3 of them were in green, so ended up in success. 3 of them has been skipped, so it means that I didn't wanted to execute those 3 tests, and those 1 are the one in blue, and then the red one are the one that failed for some reason. And you can see here in the results below the reason why it failed or it has been a success. So you can see here, for instance, in my dashboard, I checked that I had the worksheet exactly the same. So against my production and my UAT, and it was the same. So this is why it's green. Then I check that I have the same column in my summary data. And you can see that there is some differences because on the left, on my production, I had a column called product region that hasn't been found on my target or on my UAT. So this is why this test failed. I didn't check the full column in the dataset. I didn't check the data summary, which I could have done, but I checked the images, so the rendering image of my dashboard. And here I have a lot of differences. You can see that every red square means a difference. So it's up to you to set the level of detail of that red square. So you can customize the sensibility of the comparison because it's a pixel by pixel comparison. But at the end of the day, every time the rendering of your dashboard is different, we can also track that differences. Then we can check metadata and data. So as metadata, we talk mainly about filters and parameters. So you can see we can track that filters exist both ways. We can track that the filter type are the same. Here I've skipped that part, but this is something we can also do. Then we check the filters values. So you can see that by default, when I open my dashboard, in the left hand, it starts with that data with that date basically for that specific filters, and for the UAT side, it opens with 4 values for those 4 years. So this is why my my comparison failed at this level. And I can do exactly the same for the parameters. I can check that both reports have the same parameters, which is the case right here, but I can also see that one of my parameters has a different types on the prod environment. This profit bin is in float, and in the UAT, it's an integer. And as for the values, I have another parameter called top customers, where the value is 3 on one side and 5 on the other hand, which lead to that regression. So this is the kind of help we can provide as for the non-regression testing. You can easily create a task and then get those results and be notified if something went wrong. So as for the task itself, this is how it looks like. You create what we call a cross-environment test. So cross-environment test basically is I want to compare 2 dashboards or 2 worksheets on 2 different places. Can be 2 different servers, can be 2 different sites, 2 different projects, whatever. Can be on Tableau server or on Tableau online as well. Then you specify your source and your target. So the 2 elements you want to compare. So my source is this Superstore dashboard that is stored on my context, my active context. So you can see here on the top right, I have my active context that is connecting to what I call my on-prem server 3. And if you open the list of your contexts, you can see that I have two contexts. The first one, the on-prem server 3, which target my on-prem environment. And then I have this other context, which target my online environment. And basically here, I'm just comparing this Superstore analysis dashboard against the one I have on my prod and the one I have on my UAT, which are related to those two contexts. The first one, the active one, which is the on-prem server 3, and my target is using the other one, the tab prod, which is the online one. And then you just enable or disable which criteria you want to analyze on those two worksheets or dashboards. So here I can test, like I mentioned earlier, in the result, I can check worksheet, I can check columns, I can check either summary or full columns. Same for the data, same for the images, filters, and parameters. And as for the images, like I mentioned before, you can specify some threshold for having something more or less detailed. So here is the number of pixels for your for the red square, and here you have the level of precision of the RGB values. So you can specify which threshold needs to be applied. So this is the first demo. So the one for the regression. We have another scenario for regression. Maybe you saw it quickly earlier, but here you have this cross environment testing, and then we have also the regression testing. And as for the regression testing, this is exactly the same functionality. So you can track the same criteria, worksheet, columns, etc. But the idea here is instead of comparing two different dashboard or worksheet, you are comparing a dashboard over time. So basically, we took snapshot of worksheets or dashboard, and then we are able to rerun a comparison against a previous extraction. So you have those two capabilities. You can compare two physical elements together, or you can compare a dashboard or worksheet against itself, but over time.
Thank you, Loic. And that is, of course, really useful when it comes, for example, to, as I said earlier, an upgrade of your Tableau. You want to make sure that your reports are okay. If you have embedded analytics also, this one will be really helpful for you to make sure, again, that everything is okay with your reports. So again, feel free to ask your question in the chat box in the panel of GoToWebinar. The last question we have, of course, after this regression testing live demo, we will be interested in knowing how often do you upgrade. So can you tell us, please, how often do you upgrade? Is it on every release? So they are doing a release quarterly. I think that next year it will be twice a year, but at the moment it's a quarterly. Are you upgrading and going to every release of Tableau? Are you doing it twice a year, maybe just once a year, or even less than that, or maybe you are still in a version from 1 or 2 years ago? Again, I will let you just few seconds to answer. We will display again the results, so everyone will be able to see the results. So just 10 seconds more. People are still voting. Again, thank you for those who are answering. It helps us a lot to better know our audience. Yeah, so we can see here that the majority, most of you are upgrading every release, so quarterly. So it will be very useful for you to make sure and to put in place a test strategy, an efficient test strategy, even for those who are doing it twice a year or even once a year. It will be really helpful for you. So that's quite interesting results. Thank you for that. So the second test were the functional testing. Again, just few words, as I said, we will be able to simulate the user's journey and clicks to make sure that everything is okay, to make sure that the reports behave as expected. And I will let, again, Loic go ahead and live demo these types of tests.
Thank you again, Mufid. So I'm going to show you, this one. So you saw already the regression testing and the cross environment. So now we are going to look at this one, the functional testing. So I'm just opening again a project in order to save you the execution time, and I'm going to give you an overview. So the functional test is the one that is the most popular among our clientele, and so I'm not able to show all of the things we can do because there is so many, but I'm going to give you the one that are the most used, and I'm going to show you very briefly at the end all the list that is available at the moment. So here you can see in my project I have 5 tests which are almost the most used, but I'm going to focus on 2, maybe 3 of them. So functional test, what it is a way to make sure that your dashboard behave the way you expect, and at the beginning make sure that your user can have access to them and interact with the different capabilities like filtering, etc. So I have this first test called dashboard interaction, and this one is quite easy, but sometimes mandatory to perform. It allows you to follow those different steps in sequence and make sure all of them is okay. So basically, we make sure we can connect to your Tableau, make sure we can open a visualization, make sure that all the needed worksheets are available in your dashboard, make sure you can select a few elements in your graph, and finally set the filters among the filters available. And so this is what I've done here. And then if I look at the report, so the report is the result, you can see that I've executed 3 times, and all the time the test was successful. And if I click on the latest one, you can see here my five tasks, my 5 tests. You can see the status of it. You can see how long it took to execute this on your server. And then for each steps, you have the detail with a screenshot that provide you with the reason why it was successful or it wasn't successful. So my first step was being able to log on my Tableau server, and hence here the screenshot of my home page, so it was successful. Then it was the ability to open my dashboard, and here I can see my dashboard with that screenshot, so it's validate that it was successful as well. Then it was checking that I have some worksheet available in my dashboard. So we'll see in the task definition, but here it tells me that all the worksheet that has been specified are existing in that dashboard, which is great. Then the 4th step was me selecting and simulating some clicks on some of my graphics. So here you can see this is the graphic where I was simulating clicks on. You can see all the values are there, and here you can see only the 3 values has been selected. So this is what I meant, and this is what I asked in my task, but we are going to see the task just after. And finally, the 5th step, which was filtering on a filter. Basically, it was on a filter called region, and I was selecting 2 values, which was central and east. And if I open in my browser to make this more readable for you, you can see that before I had 4 values on my region for the region area, central, east, south, and west, you can see. But here, when I asked to set the filters on my filters name region, and I ask for the central and the east value only, my dashboard behave as expected. So this first test, even though it is quite easy and very simple to create, allows you to make sure you can interact, connect with your Tableau first open a specific dashboard and interact and make sure the dashboard has the right element in there. And so how it works, on each steps, when you select the different step, you have the needed information there. So connecting to My Tableau is reusing the active context, the things I mentioned earlier. Then you specify which visualization. So when you hit the search button, the context is used to get you to the tree hierarchy of your content, and then you select this information. This is why you have the Tableau URL and the Tableau site here. We're using placeholder. Those placeholders come from the contexts. Then you specify which in that case, I specify which worksheet I wanted to be there on my dashboard to make sure the dashboard was consistent. And those are the 3 worksheets I was expecting, and those 2 worksheets were there. Then I have my select mode, and here I specify to simulate a click on something called ship modes, and I wanted to select all the value that have the standard class. And finally, the filter, the setting filters, where I specify to set for these specific filters, name, region, those 2 values only. So this is the first example I wanted to show you. Now let's jump into a more complex scenario, filtering and parameters, for instance. So on this second demonstration, I wanted to show you that we can look at your filters and parameters way deeper. So in that case, what I wanted to do is to, of course, starting to connect to my Tableau, open a visualization, and then I wanted to make sure that when I open this visualization, my filters have certain values, and my filters to be set a certain way. So assert filters equals basically is just checking that the filters is the way I expect. And why? What I was expecting? I was expecting this filter to be a list, and I wanted to check the values available for that filters. And here in that case, I wanted the value to be 2021. So what I expect when I open this worksheet is that this worksheet contains a filters called this way, which is set as a list. And I want the value, the default value, to be 2021. Then in the 4th steps, I wanted to set the filters. I wanted to set on this worksheet and on the region filters, I wanted to set all the value. And this is very important. Why to do that? Because now that I have set all the value available for my region, I can check again my filter. So you can add as many as assert filters as needed. But here I'm asserting this filter, the region, the one I just enabled. And I wanted to make sure that this filter exists. Of course, it is categorized as a type. The type needs to be list, sorry. And then I wanted to check all the values, and I expect all the values to be only those 4 of them. So, which is a good way of making sure that you don't have false or a null value or value that shouldn't be there. If you are a user that shouldn't see, for instance, the central or the east values, you can also track that, making sure that those values are not displayed for the user who is executing the task. And finally, we can also track parameters the same way we do for filters. We can specify which parameters we want to check, if the parameters has been set using the right type, and we can also track the values. And here, the value I was expected was this value. So again, you can then look at the reports, and you can have here the different status of your execution. Red means something went wrong, it failed, so something is not accurate. So if you wanted to test a series of things before promoting, before giving access to user, you shouldn't do it because it failed. Then you have the orange code, which means success, partial success. because some of the steps were not ending well. So you can see here the test, the different status, how long it took to execute it, and then as earlier, for each steps, you have a screenshot and the detail why it went well or it went wrong. And here, for instance, I have a warning in my third step because I was expecting this value, but the value I have when I open my report are those four, the same as earlier. And for the last bit, for the parameters, I was expecting the value to be 7, but the value is 5. So this is why this step failed. But this step fell in a warning, not in an error, because in my task, I have the ability to say, do you want to continue on error? Yes or no. So if you want the task to be mandatory to be a success, you uncheck these options. If you don't want the task to be mandatory and you want the test to be keep going running after something went wrong, you can enable the keep on errors and see how behave the other remaining tasks. So it allows you to make sure that you have some criteria that are mandatory and some other that can be optionals. And I'm going to finish with a last functional test, even though we have so many more. The one helping you checking your data, because this has been asked a lot, and this is one of the most useful and used functionality by our customer. So you have the ability also to check the data. And the best way of achieving some data checkings is to compare the data that has been provided in your Tableau dashboard against data coming from your database, the result of a live execution of your query on your database. So what we are providing here is a simple way to make sure at any time that the data that has been displayed to your user is exactly what you expect, comparing the Tableau dataset against a live execution on your database. So basically, this task, you connect to your Tableau. As always, you open the viz you want to check. If you need to set the viz, the dashboard a certain way, for example, here I'm always displaying the Europe countries in my dashboard, and then I can apply my assert SQL. And my assert SQL is just us extracting the data from Tableau and then comparing that data against a live execution on your database. So you have to provide, of course, the SQL, and the SQL needs to mimic what we are retrieving from Tableau. And what we are retrieving from Tableau is either the summary or the full data. So it's exactly what you get when you go on your dashboard, you click on downloads and data, you get a windows that pop up, and you can see the data and the summary data and the full data. So this is exactly what we retrieve, and we compare that data set against your SQL. And so for the result, it looks like this. You will have, again, a result, and this result will pinpoint all the differences if there is any differences. So here you can see I was able to connect to my Tableau, then I was able to open my visualization. Then I set here my filters on Europe. This is why I have only now European countries. And then I have here the execution on of my query on my SQL. And here I have the information coming from Tableau. And you can see that some value, all the value here are only the differences. So all the rows are different. You can see that what the figures is different. This is why those rows are different. And you can see that on my Tableau, I only have the Europe countries because I filters on Europe beforehand. And in my SQL, I forgot to have a restriction, a joint on my Europe. So hence, this also is a different number of rows retrieved. But at the end of the day, it allows you to make sure that at any given time, you have always the good data in your reports, because you can compare in live what is displayed on your worksheet against a live execution on your database. And so, yeah, it's very powerful.
Thank you very much, Loic. It was really interesting. Keep in mind that we just showed you, if you can come on the live tool, sorry, Loic. We just showed you some tests, but keep in mind that with the functional testing, you have a lot, and I mean a lot of different scenarios, and we can test a lot of things. Loic is showing you the list of all the tests we are able to make. So if you are interested in knowing more or going deeper into the tool, feel free to contact, of course, Wizon. We will be able to provide you with a specific demonstration or even a trial, but we will talk about it at the end. So thank you very much, Loic, for the functional testing. The last one before we conclude and we answer the question, because I saw that some of you have some questions. We will keep them at the end of the session. We will show you the performance testing. So again, before letting Loic go straight into the live demonstration, the performance testing will allows you to make sure that the user experience is good. Maybe you have a SLA in place. You want to make sure that your dashboards open in less than XYZ seconds. You want to make sure that it fits your SLA. It's possible. You want to make sure that the user experience overall will be acceptable, and you will prevent users from complaining and coming to you saying that it's very long, my dashboard doesn't open, my dashboard contains take, I don't know, few seconds to open, it's annoying, and so on. So that's the purpose of this kind of tests.
Thank you, Mufid, for the introduction. So now let's jump into the last one. So again, when you are on the home page, this is the performance and stress testing. So here again, I have a test that has been executed earlier, and I wanted to show you what you can retrieve from this one. So performance tests, like Mufid just said, allows you to test for a certain period of time, multiple connection on your Tableau, simulating virtual concurrent users, and we can do that on a targeted number of dashboard or worksheet. And the idea behind that is to make sure that your server is able to take care of that load, and we get some metrics then in order to show you how your server behave and how good the performances will be seen by your end user. So let's start by the end. So this is the kind of report you can expect once you executed the test from Wiiisdom Ops, sorry. So this is it. So you can see here we have so what we call the apdex. So the apdex basically is a coefficient that allows you to have a good idea on how bad or how good the user experience is on the web page of your Tableau server. So we have here the overall score, which is 0.76. So this apdex score is a coefficient between 0 and 1, and the more close to 1, the better it is. And so then you have here this score, which is the overall score, sorry. And then you have the score breakdown by different criteria. So you can see there is the login, the setting up session, the bootstrap request, the custom views, and also the interaction with the viz. And for each of them, you have your own apdex score. There is its own apdex score. And so the traduction, let's say here, the translation of what this score means for your user. So it will give you a good idea that this overall score is quite fair, like it says here, but you can see that even though it's fair at the overall level, it's not that good at the login up, or it's not that good either for the bootstrap request, which is the acquisition, the data acquisition. So you know that you need to enhance or at least improve those two bits if you want your server to be used the way the test has been designed. And we'll see that just after how I designed this test. Then you have this other tab, response time, that allows you to see all during the duration of the test, all the things that has been done. So you have all the dots. So each dot is a process. So here you can see the bootstrap request. You can see here the setting up session processes, etc. So you have here the caption that gives you an idea of what has been done. I mean, you have the color code, etc. You have here with the yellow and the red line your goals to achieve regarding your SLAs. And so here you have the response times. You have here the execution time, the time step. And so you can see when everything went wrong. So all the dots below those two lines is quite okay, but all the dots above those two lines are not good for your server, or at least for the performances you try to reach. Then we have the availability. The availability allows you to see all the error that occurred during the test. So I don't have here any errors, but I have another execution here that has been executed not a long time ago as well. And in that one, I have some errors. So I'm going to show you this one as well. So it's going to load the data. It's going to take a few seconds. There it is. So you see this one, even though the overall score is better, I have issues, many issues that has been raised. So you can see here how many errors and many failures. You can see here the error message that has been raised. So it allows you also to see the error that has been thrown at your system while executing this test. And finally, the sample logs allows you to see, all the metric that has been extracted while doing this test. So all the login, all the bootstraps, etc., with the response times and the status. So yeah, it allows you to have a good overview and a detailed overview of all the things that has been executing during the test. So here you can see the bootstrap request, etc., the get custom views. So everything is also available here in that log. So let's get back to the task definition. So that's great. You can see that it went well or not well. You can see how good the test would be seen from a user perspective. It's good, fair, poor, excellent. But what has been tested exactly? So the test that has been run is a test that where you can specify the duration, where you can specify how many concurrent clients you want to simulate on your server. And so you can go up to 100 at the moment. And then you can specify if you want those 100 concurrent clients to be only loading views or loading views and do some random interaction with your visualization. And then you can specify on which visualization you want to perform those different actions. So it allows you to have a very targeted performance test on some specific dashboard, maybe dashboard where your user are complaining about for any reason. So you can specify which dashboard, and you can add as many as dashboard you want here using the search button, of course. And if you want to test custom views, maybe you have some report that needs to have a proper format depending on the user. You can also use the user pool capabilities, which allows you to specify a Tableau user, a user that has been defined in Tableau, so with his username and password, and then we will be able to check the custom view if there is any. At the SLA, we can specify your goal, what you want to achieve. So if you have very specific SLAs, you can apply those to Wiiisdom Ops. So here, are the default values, but those can be, of course, customized. And then you specify which elements you want to analyze. So by default, we analyze the login session, the setting up session, etc. But if you don't want to, look for the custom view because you don't have any custom view, you can disable those as wish. And finally, in the advanced tab, we have the abilities to customize a little bit further the execution of this test. And we can use think time, for instance. And think time is how long, how many milliseconds or seconds you want to wait before doing clicks, before doing interaction with your viz to be the more realistic. Otherwise, we can say, okay, I want a click every 5 seconds or every 10 seconds. So it's up to you to make sure and make this test the more realistic possible using those advanced capabilities. So this is what we are bringing with performance testing. So an easy way to have a good understanding if your platform is sustainable for this kind of activities on your server. So having 100 people using Tableau and connecting to those targeting worksheet. So this is an easy way to have a good understanding on how well your platform will behave and how your user will see the performances of your server at this moment.
Thank you, Loic. Just a quick comment before going to the answering of the questions and then the conclusion. You saw also during the presentation of functional testing that we were able to have the execution time, and some of our customers also use this execution time to do some performance testing. Maybe you want to say a word on that, Loic?
Yeah, so the execution time is always displayed in the performance test. So yeah, I mentioned that when I was on the functional time, but any single test can be performed and we can retrieve easily the performance test. So you can use the performance test here, the global one, as a way to have a good understanding on how well your platform will behave for such a load of user using the platform. But as another way of doing that, you can also at a dashboard level or a worksheet level, you can also have this information not related to the number of people using the server, but just as a single dashboard. I want to see how we behave when I refresh, when I select things, when I open it, when I do this and that. So among all the features available in the functional area, and you can see for each step what is the response time. And so it can also give you another key elements to identify which dashboard might be designed better to achieve better performances at the end.
Thank you, Loic. So what I propose, there is just 5 minutes remaining, so we go through all the questions. We have 5 or 4 already. Feel free to ask, and then we'll go directly to the conclusion, and I will let Marco do this conclusion. So we have some questions. So does the Wiiisdom Ops solution give compatibility update at the same time or before the new Tableau versions comes out? Question for you, Loic, maybe, or I can take it.
No, I didn't hear the beginning. Can you repeat?
Yeah, the people want to know if Wiiisdom Ops give compatibility update when Tableau release a new version.
Okay, sorry. Yes, of course. So we are following the release of Tableau. So every time Tableau releases a new version, in the coming days, we are dropping a new version as well to be in sync with what Tableau provide. So if you are running the latest version, that's not an issue. If you are running a version that is several version late, it's not an issue as well. We keep the different Tableau version, and when you create a test, you specify on which version you are to make sure it's compatible with your Tableau version.
Thank you. Can you tell us more about the installation, the architecture?
Yes, so Wiiisdom Ops is an AV client, so it can be installed on your laptop, Windows or Mac. It can be installed also on servers, so Windows servers, but also Linux, because Kinesis is a two pieces software, let's say. There is the designer, which is the graphical interface that allows you to easily build your different test case. And then there is the CLI, which is the underlayer that trigger and run the test. So the CLI can be installed on Windows, Mac, and Linux, and the AV client can be installed on Windows and Mac OS. And the only prerequisite is to have Google Chrome, as we're leveraging Chrome driver, and to have Java 8 or Java 11 to be installed. So we don't need databases to execute, to run our solution. We don't need libraries to be copied or whatever. It's only having access to Chrome driver, because we are mainly using APIs and Java to be able to execute the program.
So I have embedded analytics. Is there any solution to is there any way, sorry, to test this kind of reports?
Yes, of course. So we can test your dashboard hosted in your Tableau server and your Tableau online, of course. But you can also target embedded analytics. We have some functionality that allows you to test a dashboard that is hosted on Portal. So yeah, this is also feasible. So you can test and make sure that they are still working, they are still functional, the same way as if those worksheet dashboard were on your Tableau server.
Thank you. Just two questions remaining. So you mentioned CI/CD as a common use case at the beginning. Can you let us know more about it?
Yes, so this solution can interact with CI/CD processes. Most of the people are now working with solutions like Jenkins, Azure Pipeline. There is so many on the market. And so our solution is compatible with them, because at the end of the day, our solution is creating some tests, and those tests are defined on JSON file. And so at the CI solution hand, it's just only a call. So you just have to execute a script that give the access to that JSON file, and then the JSON file can be processed by our solution remotely. So if you have CI/CD processes, you can have your test, your Kinesis, your Wiiisdom Ops test stored into a GitHub repository or something that is shared with the company. So you can create your test locally. You can share those tests with the team on a VCM solution. Again, whatever the one you want to use. And then with your solution, like Jenkins, for instance, you can create scripts that trigger the execution of our test from your CI servers. And so you are not forced to use our graphical interface and execute the test from the designer itself. You can schedule from scheduler, like Windows scheduler, Chrome scheduler, but also from your CI solution, from your CI server, specifying the bat file basically, and the JSON file that store the definition of your test.
Thank you. And last question, can we automate the tests? For example, launch them at night or during the weekend?
Yes, this is exactly what I've just said. Basically, you can say, okay, if you want to execute this by night, you can use Windows scheduler or CRUB scheduler, or you can use your CI server, which run 24 hours. And yeah, you use Jenkins pipeline, for instance. You set the right time for the execution. You provide the byte file that needs to be called and the JSON file that will populate the description of the test, and then the test will be executed. You will receive notification, and then you can have some failover strategy, or you can integrate other tasks afterwards. Yeah, it's very the regular things to do.
Thank you very much, Loic. So last thing, you see on the slide displayed that you can try the solution. You can also organize a specific demo if you want to go further and deeper on the solution. So feel free to contact Marco and his team. And Marco, I let you maybe conclude the session.
Yeah, thank you, Mufid and Loic. I think it is very interesting product to automate your processes. And as one question already was that I think it's especially important for embedded solutions, since there we provide not only internally users solutions, but to external users, either in your public website or from another product, and we want to always make sure that this is the data is correct and it performs very well. So yeah, thanks all for joining this webinar. I hope it was interesting and valuable spent time, and yeah, we'll free to contact us, and we can organize for you some more specific demonstration how to use this, or how to help you with the trial. As Mufid says, there is also similarly like the floor has, Wiiisdom Ops has also a 14 days trial. But that's it. Now we are already 1 minute over time, and once again, thank you, Mufid and Loic, for giving the presentation.
Thank you guys for organizing that. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.